grade, we are going to look at our science. So take out your science books and we're going to be on page 145. 145. So we've been talking about our what? Our solar system and all the amazing things that are in our solar system, from our 8 planets to all of the different stars. Yesterday, what did we talk about? What was that big word? I don't know if you remember, constellations. Remember, constellations are simply what in the sky? Star pictures in the sky. Very good. So we've got beautiful constellations. Which one did we learn about yesterday? Orion the Hunter, right? With his shield and his belt. So we learned about constellations, the fact that those are beautiful star pictures. What galaxy is this? The Milky Way galaxy. Why? Because when the first astronomers looked up, they were like, it looks like milk in the sky, this spiraling, beautiful Milky Way galaxy with billions and billions of stars. And that's not the only galaxy. There are other galaxies out there. So it's just a neat thing when we think about how vast our universe is that God made for us to be able to enjoy. Well, today we're going to learn about something else very, very important. So we've been talking about the fact that there are heavenly bodies. Heavenly bodies are things that were just created, that God created. They're not man-made. They're not out there. They're heavenly. So we're going to talk about the moon today. It's a heavenly body that orbits a planet. So remember, we had that question last week where I was asked, does the moon also orbit the sun? And we said, no, the moon actually, or moons orbit planets. So satellite. A satellite is something that orbits a heavenly body. So guess what? The moon is a natural satellite of Earth. So a satellite is anything that, not anything, but something that orbits a heavenly body. And so since the moon orbits the Earth, it is a natural satellite. Astronaut, we know, is a person who travels in outer space. Crater, that's a hole on the surface of a moon or a planet made by another heavenly body hitting that planet or that moon. Then an asteroid is a large piece of rock that orbits the sun. Meteoroid is a small piece of space rock, traveling in space, often a piece of an asteroid. So an asteroid is a large piece of rock that's orbiting the sun. Meteoroid is a small piece from that asteroid, many times that is floating and traveling around in space. So the moon. A moon is a heavenly body that orbits a planet. Our moon is a natural satellite because it is something that orbits our planet. So it's a natural satellite of Earth. This means that it orbits the Earth. Many man-made satellites orbit the Earth all the time. That's how come we are able to have our GPSs and so many different things that we have. These kinds of satellites help us to predict weather. They help us to use our cell phones. They help us to watch TV. Those satellites are in the air projecting things down for us because of how quickly they can send signals down to Earth. Though the moon is our lesser light, the light it gives does not come from itself. Okay, did you guys know that? I hope that you're catching this. So when we see the moon up in the sky, it's not, oh, the moon has like a little bit, it's just a bright, not as bright as the sun, but it's just a dim light that the moon has for itself. No, that's not what happens at all. Remember, the surface of the moon is dry and rocky. It is not made of hot, glowing gases like the sun or the stars that we see, because those hot, glowing gases are putting off light and heat energy, right? The moon is bright in the nighttime sky only because it reflects the sun's light. So the sun shines bright enough that that moon now reflects its light back to us so that we can see that. So the moon does not have its own light. If it weren't for the sun, then we would not be able to see the moon. And that's what happens when there's a new moon. A new moon is when the earth is blocking the sun from the moon and we don't see the moon at all. It's just black sky. We don't even know it's there. We'll talk about some of those phases later on, though. American astronauts landed on the moon in 1969. Neil Armstrong was the first man to step onto the moon. You could find his first footprint because it is still there. So if you were to take a rocket ship up to the moon right now and you were to go exactly and land exactly where Neil Armstrong landed, you would see his footprint still there. There's no wind or rain on the moon. That would take it away. So it is still there right now. So think about, how is the earth different from the moon? How is the moon different from the earth? And then how are they alike? I want you to think about their differences and I want you to think about their similarities. How are they different and how are they the same? One of the things we know is that, what does Earth have that we just said the moon doesn't? Right, Earth has wind. We heard it the other night, and plenty of rain, okay? We know that Earth has that atmosphere. The moon has no atmosphere, no water cycle, none of that. So nothing can grow there. No one could live there. But we know on Earth, obviously, that is something that could happen. That's the only what? Habitable planet. Yes, very good. So now the moon's surface. Imagine you could travel to the moon. What would it be like? The moon is smaller than the Earth. The moon does not have an atmosphere like Earth does. There's no air. There's no water there. The surface is rocky, dry, and dusty. Nothing can grow on the moon. There are no lakes, no rivers on the moon, but there are mountains and valleys and places where volcanoes have erupted. So no water, okay? We don't have lakes and rivers and any of that on the moon, but there are mountains because, there's going to be high places and there's going to be low places. And then there are places where volcanoes have erupted on the moon. There are also craters. And we know that. We've talked about, you've probably heard that there are craters in the moon. But those craters are where other heavenly bodies called asteroids and meteoroids have hit it. So those asteroids and meteoroids have fallen and they hit it and they make that little crater. It's kind of like if you have that, some of you have that magnetic sand or kinetic sand, I think it's called. But also if you dropped a big rock onto the sand, what does it do? It kind of goes, and because it's not like sand, regular sand, it leaves that indent in the moon. So those are where the craters have come from meteoroids or asteroids that have hit the moon. And then you can look at that picture there and see some of the craters that are actually on the moon. Why is there no wind or rain on the moon? Why is there no wind or rain? Do you remember? I think some of you got it, because there is no atmosphere, remember? So there's no atmosphere and to produce that rain, to produce that wind. So there's no atmosphere. So something you can try at home. See how craters happen on the moon's surface. You need that sensory sand dough, like I was telling you. A shallow pan, a large spoon, some small rocks, paper, and pencil. Place that sand dough in your pan, smoothing the surface with a spoon, so make it nice and smooth and perfect. Then have friends step back as you throw and drop rocks on that sandy surface. So you don't have to throw because you want to be careful, especially if you're in the house. But, stand up high, drop that down and see if it goes right in there and what happens. Carefully move the rock. Okay, you can't just use regular sand because regular sand will move back into place, but that sensory sand is more has more of a solid texture that would stay indented. And then draw a picture of the impact craters that you made in the sand from when you dropped or threw those rocks in. As asteroids and meteoroids hit the moon, they leave an impression on the surface. We call these impact craters. What are they called? Impact craters. So asteroids and things hit and they leave that little impact crater in the moon. Since there is no rain or wind on the moon, every impact remains unchanged. So those impacts will stay there unless another crater, another meteoroid or asteroid hits it in the same spot, and then it will change shape a little bit, but it does not ever go away. Those are going to stay there because there's no atmosphere, so there's no wind, there's no rain to take those craters away. Just like Neil Armstrong's footprint, because he stepped, that put an imprint into the surface of the moon that is still there to this day. So give the correct answer for your comprehension check. Number 1, how is the moon a natural satellite? Why do we say it's a natural satellite? What does it do? You guys should be able to answer. I'm not going to answer. I'm going to wait for you to figure it out. If you don't remember, then you need to go back, read what we talked about. Goes, what is this? What is a satellite? We said it's a natural object that does what? Orbits a planet. So, it's just an object, that orbits a planet. But the moon is a natural satellite because what does it do? It orbits the Earth. Yes, very good. You better have written that in there before I said, because you've got to think that through. All right. Number 2, using the picture, tell which heavenly body reflects light. Which one of those heavenly bodies reflects light? Obviously, what have we been talking about this whole section? The moon, yes, because the sun is what? What? No, yes, it's a big, yes, bright, glowing, hot glass that has light. Not glass, gas. Gas, hot, glowing gas. And so that is shining brightly, and then the moon just kind of takes whatever light it's getting hit on and it puts it back so that we can see it. What causes a crater? Yes, very good. You guys answered that right away. Heavenly bodies such as a meteoroid or an asteroid. Those are what hit and make those craters. That was easy, right? All right, good job listening and learning. So review this over a couple times so that you'll be prepared when we have our review and different things so that you'll know all about the moon. Good job listening, and we will see you guys later. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.